I had tried smoking DMT like 3 times before this experience, all within about 6 months' time. Each experience, I noticed, had a similar theme, similar visions, and similar sounds. The sound was a kind of music. The instrument, I guess I'd have to say, made a sound like an organ grinder at a gypsy carnival. My family, on both sides, are Romanian, so my childhood was filled with these sounds, but this seemed almost genetic, as if the tune was being played by my heartstrings, as it were. The music was of the mind, but seemed so real and so loud that it affected the way my blood flowed right to each and every cell of the body. The humor of it all couldn't be denied. I remember always laughing at the notion of an organ grinder on a DMT trip. Prior to the music, there was that crackling sound that many speak of. I associated that with the sound of taking off. That initial blast, like my whole being is on the tip of a missile which had just been launched, this was the same each and every trip. Once racing through space at an indeterminable speed, going too fast to even think about when this is going to end, I begin to enjoy the trip. The beauty of DMT is that the sheer speed of the experience far outweighs whatever fear or apprehension I might have going into it. It's just too much to take in. Any sense of being a person is just flattened at a high dose, the experience becoming just that, an experience in the absence of someone to experience it. Right near the peak of being catapulted, a mandala wall shows up. It's an intricate, brilliant, multicolored mandala, not unlike a Tibetan Buddhist painting, depicting what this is. It became clear to me in this instant that whoever came up with those initial paintings had been to the Bardo and back, via an NDE, or merely took some DMT at some point in their life. This mandala showed up each time I smoked DMT, that wall so many speak of, piercing through before going into that land of elves. Piercing through this wall, I'm immediately aware that I'm virtually parachuting downward, no longer stuck on the tip of a missile. Everything is so quiet and peaceful after moving at top speed. There's no awareness of having a body, just the experience of floating, approaching land, knowing that something new is about to show up. It's during this time that I always become aware that I'm having a body, that I've smoked DMT, that I can focus on the event, the dream, or focus on the body. Am I lying down, sitting? Am I in a room? Two things going on at once, much like I feel during a lucid dream, aware of the body sleeping, while dreaming simultaneously. I notice that my body smells like DMT, something between baby shit and death, but slightly pungent and organic. This day I realized that during an NDE, I had awakened from being unconscious, smelling exactly like this, and it dawned on me that I must have excreted large amounts of DMT during the NDE to have smelled so pungent. The recognition is noted but is quickly disregarded. Stuff is still happening. I notice my wife comes into the room and begins to play tabla, an East Indian drum. The sound takes over. It becomes what's happening. Nothing else is noticed but the music and a new smell of incense. The organ grinder had long left the premises. He was just the ride here, not the after party. I've never seen these elves others talk about, those machine-like entities who come to teach you things. But this moment I understood to some extent what they meant. Instantly my body is inhabited by one of those entities. That's the only way I could describe that something else was here, and it was in me. It heard the music and had come to play, that was clear. It wanted to play along, but it had no instrument available to it, so it used my tongue and began to imitate the sounds of the drum by opening and closing my mouth, tapping the tongue in different places in the mouth, finding that the soft palate made some great deep beats. Within seconds it was producing sounds that in no way I could have done. I was being completely used. I was the instrument, and this entity was doing its best to produce nice sounds. It was succeeding in unimaginable ways. If only we had had sense enough to record this. I would have laughed like hell, but I was being occupied by the serious playfulness of this entity. This went on for around 8 to 10 minutes. I had kept my eyes closed for the entire event. Coming down, the entity didn't leave, it just wasn't there any longer. I don't remember any transition. Transitions on DMT are vague at best. Looking back, I can only really remember bits and pieces. There's just too much going on way too fast. Anyway, having been inhabited by such a playful, friendly yet serious creature wasn't creepy at all. I felt privileged having met such a bizarre yet fun being. From carnival organ grinder to who knows what. All in fun and play. Thank you for listening.